What is going on, basketball fans? My name is Hani Salehi, and I would like to welcome you to the first ever episode of the NBA Talk podcast. What is this podcast, you may ask? Well, this podcast is the number one basketball podcast on YouTube.com. Yes, I said it. I know I've been away from this channel for a couple weeks now. And that's because I've been working on something special. And that was this podcast. I've had this idea in my head for a while now. And I've been just looking for an opportunity to start this thing up. And finally, here's my opportunity with this channel. So what is this podcast, you might ask? Why am I doing a podcast? What the hell am I doing behind this camera, with this computer, with this microphone? What the hell am I doing? Well, you see, before I tell you that, let me just tell you what's my inspiration for this. Now, I'm a big fan of basketball. I'm a guy who loves playing basketball. I love, reading about basketball, so much so that it's part of my daily routine. Basketball is part of my daily life. Every day I wake up in the morning, the first thing I do, check the NBA scores, check the NBA news. Second thing, if I'm at school, check the NBA scores, check the NBA news. When I'm at home, same thing. When I'm at work, same thing. When I'm out in public, same thing. I'm always up to date on all basketball news. But sometimes, I want that content to be delivered to me, on video. And I've noticed things like this on something like wrestling, where on YouTube, there's guys who do podcasts about wrestling news, rumors, and stuff like that. And I was on YouTube searching for something similar for basketball. There should be something like this for basketball. But I couldn't find it. I couldn't find a place where I can get reliable news from. Something that a basketball fan could turn to and say, oh, here's all the latest news and rumors that happened during, this period of time. There is nothing like that on YouTube. There are the occasional YouTubers who post a breaking news story, like the big name news, like Kevin Durant signing with the Warriors. But nobody talks about the little news. Nobody talks about, news that basketball fans, basketball purists like us want to know. For example, you don't hear people on ESPN First Take or Undisputed talking about, oh, George Hill potentially wants to sign an extension with the Jazz. Nobody talks about that because they don't feel that it's newsworthy to talk about. But basketball fans want to know this. We want to know this information. And I feel that there needs to be a guy to deliver that information. And that's where I come in. That's where I want to come in. I want to be that voice for basketball fans. I want to deliver the news because I want to hear it. I want to get the news. I want to deliver the news. I want to be that guy, So that's why I'm here. And that's what I'm doing with this podcast. Every week my goal is to get one of these episodes out to, just recap the week, going over all the latest basketball news, rumors, trade talks, whatever it is regarding basketball. I want to be the guy to deliver it to you, the viewer, the basketball fan. Because I love talking basketball. I love talking basketball. I love, just learning more about the game, learning more about analytics, players, everything about the game. I just love doing it. And I know that a lot of people are going to be skeptical about what I'm saying because I don't look like the most qualified person in the world to be talking about basketball. I mean, literally, I'm just a teenage guy in my basement, just talking, in front of a wall and a camera. I don't look like the most professional guy in the world. But that's the point. I'm not supposed to look like the most professional guy in the world. I'm like you. I'm a basketball fan. I know basketball. I read basketball. My life revolves around basketball, as I mentioned. I love the game. I know the game as well. And I'm also very opinionative, because I like to give my own opinions. I don't like to agree with everybody else. For example, a casual NBA fan would, say, oh, Kevin Durant going to the Warriors is a great thing for the Warriors. They got a great new player. They got a valuable asset. But then, if you look from my perspective, I'm not agreeing with that. Because I don't think like an average NBA fan. I think like a guy who is an executive. I think in that sort of mindset, from that perspective. Because, for example, with Kevin Durant going to the Warriors, I mean, like, how is that a good thing for the Warriors? How? First of all, the Warriors lost so much depth because just to get Kevin Durant, they lost Barnes, Ezeli, Bogut, Spades, Barbosa. They lost 5 key guys to their bench. They have no bench now. So who's going to back up Kevin Durant and Steph Curry and Klay Thompson and Draymond Green when they're on the bench? Second of all, they lost their rim protector. They lost their big men. They don't have anybody to protect the paint. So who's gonna protect the paint when you're playing a guy against LeBron James? I don't know. You just lost that. LeBron James was able to completely take advantage of that in the finals last year because there was no Bogut, there was no Draymond. So, I mean, what are the Warriors going to do then? That's a bad thing for the Warriors. And finally, the chemistry. The chemistry was the biggest thing for the Warriors. They were able to be so successful because they were a cohesive unit. They were guys who worked well with each other. Because there wasn't any major star on that team, major superstar on that team. And no, I don't consider Stephen Curry, one of the best in the world. I don't. I think he's a good player, but I don't think he's the best in the world. So there wasn't any major superstar to sort of, command touches. But now with Kevin Durant, you have to incorporate a guy who commands touches, a guy who is a big ISO scorer. You have to integrate that. And, it's going to be hard for a team to do that. Historically, it's so hard to incorporate big pieces into super teams. We saw it with the Celtics in the 2007. We saw it with Miami in 2011. And we're going to see it again this year. So that's the way I think compared to what an average NBA fan thinks. And that's why I think you should agree with what I say. You should listen to what I say. Because I know what I'm talking about. I know how to give my opinions. And not everybody's going to agree with me. I know some of you aren't going to agree with me out there. But, it's okay. That's the point of this podcast, because I want to be able to discuss with you guys in the comment section. You don't agree with me? Let me know. Tell me. What is your argument to me on that? What is your argument to me on that? Why do you think I'm wrong? So that's why you should listen to me. And so that was my whole spiel. I know that this is something new, it's something big. It's something that I hope is going to change the landscape of basketball on YouTube. That is the end goal for this podcast. But, it all starts from somewhere, and we're starting now. We're not the most professional in the world, but we're going to do what we do, and I'm going to try my level best to give you guys the best quality content possible. So that's enough of me babbling. I think you guys at this point, you get to sort of feel what I'm trying to do over here and what's my goals here. So now, without any further ado, let's get into the first ever episode of the NBA Talk Podcast. So on this episode of the NBA Talk Podcast, our major headline is the Oklahoma City Thunder are currently on their best start in franchise history despite a tumultuous summer. Can the Oklahoma City Thunder still be a top 5 team in the Western Conference without Kevin Durant? That's the main headline. On this episode, we're also going to be discussing, can the Lakers, without Kobe Bryant, make it to the 2016-17 NBA playoffs? That's going to be an interesting topic. We're also going to be discussing what's wrong with the Celtics defense and will this be an issue moving forward? We're also going to be talking about, other topics such as Paul George being fined $15,000 for kicking a basketball into a woman's face. Along with that, we're going to be talking about, can LeBron James, catch up to Shaquille O'Neal on the NBA's all-time scoring list, by the end of 2016-17 NBA season. We're also going to be discussing, finally, has DeMar DeRozan been snubbed from the NBA Player of the Week award? All this and much more on the NBA Talk podcast. So let's get right into this. So we're going to start off with the Oklahoma City Thunder here. And this is probably one of my favorite teams right now to talk about. According to ESPN.com, with Monday's 97-85 win over the Miami Heat, the Oklahoma City Thunder are off to their best start through 7 games. They're 6-1 right now. So since relocating from Seattle, which is somewhat surprising with, Dion Waiters leaving over the summer, and also some guy named Kevin Durant. I didn't know, according to Enes Kanter, I didn't know that set of the Thunder's fast start. But we need to keep focused on just going out there and playing our best. We all know one thing for sure. Enes Kanter is not an English graduate. This guy can't speak English for his life. Because literally, we need to keep focused. Whatever, bro. Just stick to playing on the court, man. Just keep your mouth shut and stick to playing on the court. Kanter glanced over a member of the Thunder's PR staff as he spoke and got a nod of approval. The subtext of the question was clear, but Kanter, always eager to engage in a lighthearted bantering, didn't take the bait. The path to 6-1 hasn't been extraordinarily emphatic with the Thunder, beating 16th with a combined record of 18-25. They have wins over the Sixers, Suns, Lakers, Timberwolves, Clippers, and now the Heat. The win over the Clippers appears to be their validation going on the road to scrap out a 2-point decision. The following night, they were battered by Durant and the Warriors. Whatever qualifications you want to put on the Thunder's start, through all things considered, it was an impressive beginning to the post-Durant era. There were so many questions about the Thunder entering the season, starting with Russell Westbrook. Now he would handle being the solitary alpha on the roster. His play has been absurd, nearly averaging a triple-double, but the teammates are raving about his leadership. He's embracing his role as both a superstar and a mentor. Before we move on reading this article, I want to say a few things. Number one, the Oklahoma City Thunder are one of my favorite teams to watch right now. If you watch some of my previous season preview videos, one of my biggest questions about this season was how was the whole Kevin Durant leaving the Warriors thing going to work? How was Russell Westbrook going to be the number one option? How was the Thunder going to play without one of the superstars leaving? And honestly, they've literally been fantastic. This team has been amazing. You see it in the way they're beating teams. Now, they've been fantastic. One of the biggest things, obviously, is Russell Westbrook. This guy has stepped up. He stepped up and definitively said, Kevin Durant, you were an idiot for leaving me. You were one of the biggest fools to ever leave me. And he's completely right about that. He's completely right about that. I mean, there's nothing much to say. Russell Westbrook is actually tearing it up. He's averaging around 33 points per game. I think about 10 rebounds and around 12 assists. I mean, can you ask for much more from a guy who's, from him? You can't ask much more from him. He's carrying this team, not only on the court, but off the court. He's being a leader on both on and off the court, and that's what the Thunder want. They want a guy to lead this team to success, and Russell Westbrook is the guy to do it. Along with that, the Thunder are getting solid contributions from players like Adams and Oladipo. I'm a big Oladipo fan. I'm a really big Oladipo fan. I mean, this guy has it all. He can drive, he can dribble, he can handle the ball, he can defend. There's only one thing that I think he's missing from his game, and that's a quality 3-point shot. The only thing he's missing. But other than that, I love the way he's been playing. He's been a solid number 2 option for Oklahoma City. He's not, trying to be the superstar. He knows he's not the superstar. He's trying to fill in. He's trying to be, another option. So Russell Westbrook's on the bench. He's going to carry the team. So that's what they want. Along with that, Adams is doing a solid work, both end of the floor, being a presence defensively, while also just doing the dirty work offensively. He's setting solid screens, being a good pick and roll partner for Russell Westbrook. That's all the team wants. Pair that with, Enes Kanter stepping up, guys like Anthony Morrow being a sharpshooter, Joffrey Laverne, a guy who nobody even knew who the hell this guy was. This guy is legit becoming Russell Westbrook's favorite teammate. Just because this guy, he can stretch the floor. Russell Westbrook's one of his biggest assets is his driving kick, where he's able to drive, attract defenders, and be able just to kick. You want guys who can shoot the 3 around Westbrook. It's similar to what LeBron James has with Cleveland, where LeBron James drives, attracts the defense, kicks out to open shooters, so open shooters can have the chance to knock down 3-point shots. That's exactly what Russell Westbrook does, and that's exactly what Joffrey Laverne, stepping up, being that guy to gun a 3-point shot, off a Westbrook pass. It's absolutely fantastic in my opinion. And finally, this team is just amazing on defense. They've been literally surprising everybody on defense. This team was never an amazing defensive team last year, but this year, they've solidified themselves as one of the best defensive teams to start up the season. And it's absolutely fantastic in my opinion, just to see this team just band together. Oladipo, Adams, these guys are doing it on both ends of the floor. Everybody just coming up together and stepping up the game, and it's fantastic with this team. Now, to comment on what the article said about the Thunder's, 6-1 record being sort of lackluster because of how the teams they beat, I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that at all. I think you have to give this team credit where credit is due. So what if they're beating the Suns, Lakers, Timberwolves, and the Heat? This team is a good team. They've solidified themselves because they can compete. And they did. They did compete. And they're doing it. They're legit. I don't know how to put this, but they are legit dominating the team they need to dominate. These are the teams they know they have to blow out, and they're blowing these teams out. Why? Because they're a good team. Good teams blow out mediocre teams. Teams that shouldn't even be there. They should blow out the Suns. They should blow out the Heat. I don't know why the Lakers and Timberwolves, they had solid games against, but, overall, this team is a competitive team. It's a team that people should take seriously, especially with their win against the Clippers, how they were able to scrap out a victory, despite it being within 2 points. You gotta give this team credit. That was an impressive victory. And, finally, about the Warriors, people are saying that this team sort of got killed by the Warriors and that they're not a threat. They're not good because they got killed by the Warriors. And I never got really a chance to comment on this on video. I did say a few words on Twitter, but I never really got a chance to sort of, express my feelings about this game. And really, you cannot, say that the Thunder aren't a good team because they lost to the Warriors. There was 3 main factors that caused that loss. Number 1, the Warriors were sending triple teams to Westbrook. Westbrook could not do anything. He was handcuffed because the Warriors, were defending him. So the Thunder lost their leader. And the Warriors did a good job about that. That was a smart thing to do. You take away the leader, the followers don't know who to follow. And that's what really hurt them because Westbrook wasn't able to be himself. I'm guaranteeing you, if some of those triple teams didn't happen, I think Westbrook would have dropped maybe 30, 40 points on them. Easy. I think, he would have, exploded for his team. And his team would have played a lot better because they would be following his leadership. But since the Warriors were playing smart defense on him, it sort of, reduced his performance. Also, I think the Thunder were sort of overwhelmed by the magnitude of the game. especially how the media made it, because it was Westbrook versus Durant. Everybody was sort of looking for, oh, what's going to happen? Who's going to win this game? Who's going to win this game? Oh, this is Westbrook versus Durant. So I think that the pressure really got to the Thunder. Because it's a young team, obviously they get pressured very easily, and I think that really resulted in some of the play. And finally, I've heard Stephen A. Smith on First Take season a lot of time. Kevin Durant is a superstar. He's a top 3 player in the world for a reason. Because this man can literally drop 40 any night. And he did that. He showed us why he was a top 3 player in the world. And when you're a team playing against a top 3 player in the world who's having a good game, it's hard to stop. It's hard to stop a guy who's feeling it like Kevin Durant. So, from that regards, I don't think you can't fault the Thunder for this game. I think the next time they meet, this is going to be a much better Thunder team, and I think you're going to see a very different result than we saw in the last game. So, yeah. So on Monday, after missing 8 consecutive shots to end the first half, he made his first 3. He made his first 3 of the second, sparking a 20-0 run in the third quarter to put the game to bed and earn him the fourth quarter off. If I could do that all year, that would be great with me, Westbrook said sitting in the fourth quarter. Rest is always good. And I completely agree. I mean, this team, if they can go on 20-0 runs, that is impressive. It's impressive. Especially against a team that has Hassan Whiteside on it. That is it's very impressive from the Thunder. And giving Westbrook quarters off is going to help the team in the future. Westbrook is exerting a lot of energy putting this team on his back. So he needs as much rest as he can. If this guy has any opportunity to rest, I think Billy Donovan should be smart and rest this guy. Because this guy is going to be needed, especially time in the playoffs, and you don't want this guy to break down on you. So Westbrook's relentlessness in his trademark, and his teammates are finding an identity behind it. Swarming, suffocating defense, generating a breakneck transition opportunity. They are adopting traits of Westbrook's personality. They play with physicality, athleticism, and forcefulness that seems to put opponents on their heels. It's often a struggle in the half court, which is why the Thunder are digging in defensively and looking to push pace at every opportunity. For us to win games, Westbrook said, we know we have to defend. Exactly what I'm saying. Westbrook is the leader. The team follows suit whatever Westbrook is doing. Westbrook is bringing energy on both ends of the floor. The team is going to bring that energy on both ends of the floor. So this team does exactly what Westbrook does. So Westbrook is the key facilitator to all this. So entering the season, there were a genuine curiosity from some within the organization as to how teams would go play the season. There were so many unknowns and a roster not tailored to fit the strengths of the core, as it was when it was focused around OKC's two-headed star attack of Durant and Westbrook. But Westbrook is the constant star now, and there always was supreme confidence he could bear the burden of leadership. Because as some note, including Cantor on multiple occasions, Westbrook was the leader of the team that season as well. But the Thunder have 6 new players in their rotation, including 2 starters, and the shock of Durant leaving is still resonating off every wall of their practice facility. And ask Westbrook, and he's not surprised, as he rebuked a reporter in Los Angeles last week, doubting the Thunder was the first mistake, as he said. That's where you went wrong. And Westbrook saying that to a reporter, doubting us, you were wrong. Whew. Hot fire from Westbrook right here, man. What more to say? You doubted this team. Every reporter doubted this team to be successful. And with the way they're playing right now, I think they can be a top 5 seed. I really think this team can, if they can keep this consistent, easy. They can easily be a top 5 seed in the Western Conference, make it to the playoffs, and I think if they continue getting better, I think they can make a deep run. I think this team has the capabilities to go far in the playoffs. But that's all with Westbrook. Everything revolves around Westbrook and with this team. Westbrook falls, so does the team. Westbrook goes up, so does the team. So it's all really about Westbrook at this point. And the fact that he's, now calling out reporters saying that you doubted us just shows that this guy is now out to prove something. So if he's out to prove, his team is now out to prove something as well. So most are cautioning against raising expectations. Where was I? Oh, still there's hesitation to look down the road from plenty in and around the team. No one is getting ahead of themselves and shouting Ewing theory. Most are instead cautioning against raising expectations. They anticipate a hard path still ahead, with focus being placed on steady development and growth. The Thunder aren't kicking their feet up on the desk and saying, here it is, this is the roster we want. There likely will be more changes as they retool around Westbrook, trying to locate new puzzle pieces to fit next to his strengths. But they can take some satisfaction in absorbing the body blow of Durant, the pressure, and pushing forward. They can only play the schedule that's in front of them, and there are plenty of teams that were perceived to be good sitting below the Thunder in the standings. They are playing elite level defense behind Westbrook's constant war of offense attrition. They are finding just enough to get by. How will it hold up as the Thunder's turns over and their new identity gets put to the test? Time will tell, but for now the Thunder are, at least factually speaking, the best they've been ever through 7 games. And to really conclude on this whole Oklahoma City Thunder thing, people gotta stop talking about Durant. Durant is gone. The media has to get this out of their system now. Durant is gone. He's on the Warriors. There's nothing more to talk about now. They need to start talking about Russell Westbrook. They need to talk about how great this guy is and how good this team is becoming with him being the leader. That's all I gotta say about that. So, we're gonna move on now to the Lakers. Can the Lakers make it to the 2016-17 NBA playoffs? So according to LakerNation.com, take this with a grain of salt. We don't, this is completely biased towards Los Angeles, but, we'll read it anyways. None of this was supposed to happen. By all accounts, the Lakers should be absolutely terrible this season. They are supposed to miss the playoffs for a 4th straight year, and fan interest should be waning now that they're competing without the draw of superstar guard Kobe Bryant. Complicating things, the franchise that has always been a magnet of the spotlight will soon to have publicly navigate the uncomfortable waters of Jim Buss and infamous decline. Meanwhile, the team itself is reminiscent of major leagues with a ragtag group of rough and tough edge, unproven youngsters, mixed with past their prime veterans, in case you're wondering. D'Angelo Russell is Rick Vaughn, Metta World Peace is Jake Taylor, and Nick Young is Willie Hayes. Generally, a combination of front office complexities are not ready for prime time. Roster results in tickets straight to the NBA lottery, where good luck charms abound and ping pong balls are worth millions. That was the fate of 2016-17 Los Angeles Lakers were presented for, with any other outcome being dismissed as fantasy. However, Walt Disney once said, it's kind of fun to do the impossible, and the Los Angeles Lakers are proving it. The sample size certainly is small, but as of this writing, the unflappable Lakers are a playoff team in the West with a 500 record of 3 wins and 3 losses. Actually, no, it's 4 wins and 3 losses. So they're actually above 500. Now this article is actually kind of late. Their point differential is barely positive at plus 3, and they have yet to look completely outclassed in any game. Something that was a regular occurrence last season. They aren't feasting on the bottom feeders either yet. Their first 6 games featured a murderer's row of opponents who all expect to easily be in the playoffs, and feature all-stars like James Harden, Paul George, Dwight Howard, Paul Millsap, and the quartet of Draymond Green, Klay Thompson, Kevin Durant, and Steph Curry. The Lakers, who don't have a true star, didn't seem to mind one bit. It was a string of David versus Goliath matchups, but the Lakers showed up full of confidence and ready to sling some stones, ultimately slaying 3 giants, including the biggest of them all, actually 4. the Golden State Warriors. With 4 stars on their payroll, the Warriors are the clear favorite to win the NBA title, but the starless Lakers apparently didn't get the memo. They routed the Golden State by 20 points in a game they never trailed in, turning in a performance that won't be soon forgotten. The wins aren't ugly either. Los Angeles doesn't walk the ball up the floor hoping to muck up their wins. This article sort of goes on and on about that. But what I want to talk about is this LA team. This Lakers team has been so mediocre for the past 3 years with Kobe Bryant. And that's not to say anything. I love Kobe Bryant. I'm a big Kobe Bryant fan. I'm a big Kobe Bryant supporter. But with him being on the team, it really sort of put a cloud over, fans. Fans were only looking about, Kobe's shooting terribly. This team is doing bad because of Kobe. Not really. No. This team was doing bad because there was just nothing competitive about the team. This team wasn't, sort of on point. They weren't, the teams were all just mixed matched, like with just veterans and guys who, were okay and, stuff like that. The coaches who didn't know how to coach, it was a bad 3 years for this team. But what the Lakers did well in, that a lot of people never really noticed and went under the radar, the Lakers were able to draft quality players in Jordan Clarkson, Julius Randle, D'Angelo Russell, and now Brandon Ingram. That's a solid nucleus. And now you see the benefits of those picks and how those picks have basically turned Los Angeles from a dreadful like basement team in the Western Conference to a potential, underdog to become a playoff team. This team has literally shown me that they have tenacity on defense. They are the focused. They play as a team offensively, and they have fun. This team is finally fun to watch. The Lakers are now fun to watch. And that's something I can't, I can't understate that. The fact that they're fun to watch. They're really fun to watch. They move the ball so well, especially with Luke Walton coaching them. Luke Walton brings that sort of ball movement and that sort of fun style that was introduced in Golden State. And that is helping the Lakers to be this quality team. D'Angelo Russell is also a great factor as well. He's been leading this team. Legit, this guy is carrying this team. He's being the leader that he was drafted to be. This guy was a number 2 overall pick last season. He wasn't able to showcase his skill under Byron Scott because Byron Scott was a goddamn idiot. He didn't know what the hell he was doing because he was only paid to let Kobe Bryant have his one last year of glory. That was it. So Byron Scott was a complete idiot. So he wasn't doing his job correctly. But now you see, with a quality coach, a coach who knows what he's doing is put in place. You see how good D'Angelo Russell can be. Because D'Angelo Russell can now truly introduce his talents to the league because now he has a coach that believes in him, a coach that trusts him with the ball. Now you can see that D'Angelo Russell has the ability to make the decisions. He has the ability to run the pick and roll with Julius Randle and, have that good combination. And Julius Randle, speaking of him, been a quality player. He's been, showing everybody why he was, I think, the 6th or, he was a lottery pick a couple of years ago because this guy can truly play. He can truly play. He's a talented big man and he's showing why he's one of the most versatile big men. He can shoot, he can pass, he can get guys off the dribble. He's really impressing a lot of people, especially having his pick and roll game with D'Angelo Russell. I'm really impressed with Julius Randle and how he's been performing these past few games. Compare that with Jordan Clarkson. I think Luke Walton made the best decision right here. Putting Jordan Clarkson off the bench. You want a guy to come in and be your spark plug? Who better than Jordan Clarkson? this brother can score, man. This guy can score. He comes off the bench, instant spark. Pair him with another gunner like Lou Williams and Nick Young, guys who love to shoot the ball, love to score a point. That is the highest scoring bench in the NBA. One of the highest scoring benches in the NBA actually right now is the Lakers, because the Lakers have so much firepower out their bench. And while we're on the subject, because of this whole roster and how the young guys are able to find their niche and how the team is now moving the ball, playing as a unit, it's now allowing the veterans such as Nick Young and Lou Williams to actually be relevant again. Lou Williams hasn't been relevant since his days in Toronto. And what gave him the success? Because the team was built around being a team. They were a team. They played together. Nick Young, he hasn't been relevant in years. But now look at him. This guy's putting consistently 15, 16-point games for this team. Recently, he dropped 22. So Nick Young, Lou Williams, pair that with the youngsters, this team is on the rise, and I'm absolutely ecstatic. But now, as far as their playoff hopes, do I think they can make the playoffs? No. I don't think they can make it to the playoffs this year. I think they'll come close. I think the Lakers will be they won't be in the bottom. They won't be at 15, 13, 14. They won't be there. But I think they'll be around 10, 11, 12, maybe even 9. I think that's what that's the jump they took. Because there's just a lot of quality teams in the West I can name. Teams that I know is going to be the head of the Lakers. The Jazz, Maverick, Thunder, who am I forgetting? The Rockets. Those are teams that I see ahead of the Lakers. But the Lakers, they're showing promise. And if they can consistently improve every game, I don't see how it can't be a possibility in the future, like maybe next season. But this season, it's definitely possible. I think it's possible for the Lakers to make it to the playoffs this year. But I just don't see it happening. I don't think they're going to do it just based on the amount of competition they're facing in the Western Conference. But this is actually a really promising start for LA. I think it's going to be great for the city to finally see winning basketball. The city of Los Angeles has been so devastated with such terrible basketball in the city, and now the dark cloud surrounding the team, the city has finally been lifted, and now basketball has become prosperous in the city again, and it's relevant now. It's fun. I literally enjoy watching this team, and I'm excited to see them in the future. But as far as their playoff hopes, this season I say no, but it's definitely a possibility for the future, and I'm really excited about that. Now we're going to move on to the Boston Celtics. Now this is going to be a very interesting topic. Very interesting topic. How are we doing on time here? We're just escaping 40 minutes. Not that bad, actually. So the Boston Celtics. What is wrong with the Celtics defense? According to ESPN.com, on the eve of the Boston Celtics season opener last month, after the training camp, in which players routinely were peppered with questions about the potential of a team's defense, Coach Brad Stevens was asked if he thought his team could climb higher in defensive ratings. Before we continue, I'm thirsty as hell, man. This shit is hard. I think defense is one of those things that you've got to go out there and do it. Stephen said, it's not about, talking about it. It's not about anticipation of how good we can be. That's an everyday commitment. Completely agree with this statement of Brad Stevens. I really love him as a coach, and he's saying the right things here. He's saying that, you can't just talk about defense. You gotta show it. And so far, Boston hasn't been showing it. So, after Sunday night's embarrassing 123-107 loss to the Denver Nuggets, a game in which Boston's defense gave up 77 first-half points while sleepwalking against a team coming off a 17-point defeat the night before in Detroit, The Celtics find themselves ranked 29th in defensive ratings while allowing an unfathomable 110.2 points per 100 possessions. Wow. Only the New York Knicks are worse, and not by much. 110.9 is the New York Knicks defensive rating. Yeah. I don't even want to continue reading this. 29th in defensive rating. This is my first time actually reading this article. I didn't even know that. I didn't even know that. 29th defensive rating? The Boston Celtics were one of the best defensive teams last year. Number 2, I believe, in the league. And the fact that they're 29th, it really is showing something. It's showing us that, this team is having some growing pains. Losing a guy like Evan Turner, was big because Evan Turner was a solid defensive piece for this team. So it's really, that was really surprising for me. For context, the Celtics finished tied for fourth in defensive ratings last season, while allowing 100.9 points per 100 possessions. The Los Angeles Lakers were far and away the worst defensive team last year at 109.3. Sure, the Celtics have yet to play a game this season at full strength. On Sunday night, they played without the 3 of their top 7 players, and Al Horford, Jay Crowder, Kelly Olynyk, Marcus Smart. Okay, that makes sense now. Despite a sore shoulder that required a cortisone shot last week. Wow. Okay. But none of those injuries explains just how atrocious Boston's defense has been. The Celtics consistently have looked out of place and out of sync, and that doesn't make sense when you consider the same core is in place for a team that's made defense its calling card for much of last season. What's more, Boston's defense was excellent in preseason, defensive rating of 95, and has shown flashes of its potential this season. So what in the world is going on? Well, I don't even have to read this. I'll tell you what's going on. This team is choking under the pressure. This team is, was filled with all these expectations, and, it sort of blew up in their face. They weren't, this team is a young team. Like I said for the Thunder, this is a young team. This is a young team. It's not an old team, man. This is a very young team. So, this team, it's hard for young guys to handle pressure like that. Especially in the NBA, where the media literally emphasizes on every little thing. So when Boston added Al Horford, people were like, oh my God, the Celtics are going to be the number 2 seed in the East. They're going to be, the team that challenged Cleveland. No. The Celtics really sort of just lost out on their defense. They literally the pressure was a little bit too much for the Celtics to handle, and that's really where their downfall came from. And also the injuries. You saw the injuries. Jay Crowder is probably one of their best defenders. They lost him. Al Horford is dealing with injuries. Olynyk, not the best defender, but he's still a quality player. So the Celtics are losing guys out of the rotation. But, yeah, I think it's pressure. I think the pressure really blew up in the Celtics, and I think they need to really wake up a little bit and realize that, look, these guys may be out, but we gotta step up a little bit. We gotta hold our own while these guys come back. We can't just lay down for these teams. We can't just let the media get what they want and just make fun of us now. So I personally think it's pressure, but let's see what the article has to say. So we're not as good as we thought we were, as Celtics all-star point guard Isaiah Thomas, a black hoodie drawn tight over his head as he tried to explain the latest defensive dud. When we don't come out with a sense of urgency, we're not a good team. And that's what happened tonight. But what about those aspirations of being a top defense? At this point, we're all talk. Thomas said, that's all we're doing. So until we put it together for a full 48 minutes and show that we can do that end, we're not going to be a top defensive team. I'm going to pause right there. He's saying the right thing. As much as we hate to admit it, the Celtics hate to admit it, he's saying the right thing. The Celtics are just talking right now. They're all talk. Like I said, the media is putting it out that the Celtics are going to be one of the best defensive teams in the NBA. You know, like last season they were 4th. You know, but I think the pressure has really gotten to them. They've really just had that in hands of, oh, we're automatically going to be a good defensive team. We don't have to put in the work for it. We don't have to sort of put it our all in on defense. We should try to focus more on the offensive side because we know the defense is going to come. But that's not the case. You can never, defense is something that you have to work to attain. You know, you can't just be handed a silver platter and be like, here you go, here's your defense. Here's your top ranked defense. No. That's never going to happen. You're never going to have a team be a top defense overnight. It takes a lot of work, it takes a lot of commitment, and it takes a lot of determination, you know, to be a good defensive team. The Celtics were that last year because they came in with that sort of mentality that, look, we're the underdogs here. We gotta fight to be a good team. And that's what they did. They fought. But now with all the talk about them being a great team, a number 2 seed in the East potentially, you know, they really lost it. I think they really lost it with that. I think that number 2 seed talk really just flipped the switch in them. They're just like, they literally were just like, oh shit, man, there's this pressure, bro. We gotta be a number 2 seed? Damn, man. I mean, I think that's what it is, personally. And I think that's what Isaiah Thomas is trying to say. That look, people are only talking about being a good team, but we can't be that good defensive team if we don't show it. So we have to show it, and until we don't show it, we're not going to be a good team. And that's exactly what's happening to the Celtics. They're not showing it. So Stevens spent the night throwing darts with hopes of finding some sort of spark for his team. Nothing worked. The Nuggets' second-year guard, Emmanuel Mudiay, scored 24 of his game-high 30 in the first quarter blitz that saw Denver having hang 42 points on Boston. Fans at TD Garden showered the Celtics with boos as they walked off the court down 25 at halftime. Given the Celtics haven't been able to pull out of their defensive funk, Stevens tried to absorb much of the blame for his team's struggle, but he also, not so subtly, insinuated that his team has been soft so far this season. I thought looking at Denver's film, this could be bad for us, Stevens said. And the reason I thought that is because the nicest way I can say this is I think we play like a finesse team, and the Nuggets play physical. You know, I thought Gallinari dunk was a great example of that. I thought Kenneth Faried driving on the floor with 3 minutes 57 seconds left in the fourth quarter was a great example of that. And Stevens was asked if Boston can still be a top defense team. I don't even know if it's statistically possible based on a week. You know, Stevens said, "I don't even know if you can make it up in 76 games, but we can get a lot better. But it starts with holding your ground physically." I'm gonna pause again. Stevens, I think he made a mistake here because, yes, it is possible, but Boston needs to focus again. It's literally been 2 weeks of basketball. A team can literally go 1 week, they can be terrible, to the next week they can be, you know, a championship contender. You know, it's completely possible. Anything's possible in the NBA. You know, so I don't think that it's not possible for the Celtics to be good. All they need to do is focus. They need to, you know, come in with that underdog mentality, saying that, look, we gotta fight to be good. We can't just be handed the opportunity to be successful. We have to earn that right. We have to go there and, you know, get the brass ring. You know, we can't just have the opportunity come and slip away from our fingers. We have this opportunity to be a top 5 seed in the Eastern Conference. Again, you know, we're gonna take it. We're gonna take it and we're gonna be successful. But we have to focus. We have to have that determination, have that will to win. And that's what Boston is lacking right now. They're lacking that will to win. And so I think it's greatly possible for them to become that top 5 defense again. But they need to seriously just focus. That's really all it's about. It's not like it's not possible. It's completely possible. But they have to focus. They have to, you know, literally change their mentality completely. Mudiay goes nuts. That's fine. But Mudiay also gets 2 putbacks, or at least, one putback early. That gets you going, makes you feel good about yourself. You see the ball go through the net, an easy basket. Now you hit a couple of the tougher ones. We brought a little bit of aggressiveness at the start of the third quarter, but that wasn't sustainable. I don't know. I don't have the answer, but obviously we got some guys that aren't playing that will play. But this is absolutely physically holding your ground. I've got to look at everything we're doing and go from there. I told the players it isn't my fault. It's my fault because I watched us play this way, and you can't do that. Bottom line is, when you have a spot, you have to hold it. When you have a spot, you have to take it. And we're not. So whether it's changing who plays, whether it's creating new schemes, whether it's subbing differently, whatever the case may be, we just have to figure that out. Basically, exactly what I just said. They have to, see, when you have the opportunity, you have to grab it. You have to go for that opportunity. The Celtics have the opportunity, but they haven't been able to grab it. That's what they need to do. They need to focus on grabbing that opportunity and getting that opportunity again. Bradley was an all defense first teamer last season. Wouldn't use the absence of Boston's injured players as an excuse for a struggle. He's hopeful that Stevens can help right the ship. It's disappointing, but I'm going to leave that up to Bradley said. He's a great coach. He'll be able to call the guys out. He can use me as an example, whatever it takes for him to where we need to be. I want us to get there, but because we have a great group of guys that want to play hard and want to play the right way, to put it together so we can go out there and win games. Stevens can't help but reflect on what he said on the eve of the season when he implored his team to bring the necessary defensive energy each day. I thought this was possible. Stevens said, I think any time that you have a year when you achieve relative success on one end of the floor, there's a slippage that is bound to occur because shortcuts are bound to be taken. What's most disappointing to me is the lack of physicality, but that's on me. Like I told you, I've got to go to play the guys that play more physical. That's just the way it goes. Yeah. So basically what I get from this article is just that the Celtics aren't focused. They're not mentally in the right place right now. This team literally needs to change their mentality, change, sort of just block the pressure. They need to ignore what the media is saying about them and go back to what they did last year and what worked last year, and that was their underdog mentality. Just coming in and saying that we have to earn that opportunity. We have to earn our success. We're not going to be backing down from anybody. They need to come in with that mentality, and that's really what's wrong with the Celtics. I think it's not going to be a problem just as long as the Celtics can change that mentality. If they can change the mentality, I think this team is definitely a playoff team. They can still be a top 3 team in the Eastern Conference. It's definitely possible. But if they don't, I think that will have serious implication on the Celtics' long-term success. Before we continue, now moving on to some of our sort of some smaller topics. Paul George fined $15,000 for kicking a ball into the stands. Indiana Pacers forward Paul George has been fined $15,000 for kicking a ball into the stands during Saturday's game against the Chicago Bulls. George was assessed with a technical foul and immediately ejected following the incident. The Pacers would go on to win 111-94 despite losing the 3-time All-Star in the third quarter. The 26-year-old ended up hitting a woman in the face. That's actually hilarious. Check that video out on Twitter. Freaking hilarious. As a result of the kick, and later apologized for the action. George has incurred 3 other fines throughout the 7-year career. Nothing really to read into this. I mean, I don't think this deserved a fine necessarily. I mean, George was in the moment. He made a mistake. I don't think he should have been fined. But I think the NBA really just wants to send a message out to players saying that, look, you gotta control your anger out there. You gotta control your emotions. You can't just do something and expect no consequences. I think that's what the NBA is trying to do. It's nothing really major, but, it is what it is. I mean, Paul George, he did something stupid. I mean, he effed up. He did something really stupid and, funny for us, but it was stupid. I mean, you shouldn't have done that. You knew what was going to happen. You knew there was a bunch of people sitting there. Somebody was going to get hit by that ball. So, the $15,000, Paul George just has to man up, pay for his mistakes. Now, LeBron James, scoring has never been on my list of goals. So despite owning the 10th highest points total in NBA history, which he just got, LeBron James says he's never considered himself so much of a scorer. Scoring has never been on my list of goals. James told ESPN Brian Windhorst, facilitating, getting my guys involved in rebounding, defending, getting block shots, and things of that nature always ranked above that. With 26,970 career points, the four-time MVP is likely to pass a few more legends by the season end. Elvin Hayes with 27,313 points, Moses Malone 27,409 points, and Shaquille O'Neal 28,596 points, all within reach. I play with a lot of great teammates, and they have allowed me and trusted me to do what I do. James said, it's a testament to me just taking care of my body and working on my craft throughout my career. While he may not consider scoring a personal goal, the three-time champion still thinks it's pretty awesome that he's being mentioned among a list of all-time greats. For me, to be in the top 10 with so many great players that played this game is an honor. It's pretty cool, James said. So can James catch Shaq? See, here's the thing about LeBron James, is that a lot of people think that, LeBron James is supposed to be the best player in the world, which means that he's supposed to be dropping 40 a night. But a lot of people don't realize that LeBron doesn't want to do that because he's not focused on individual accolades. This is a guy who's focused. He doesn't care about these scoring records. He really doesn't. If it happens, it happens. But his main focus is winning championships, leading his team to success. He's not focused on individual accolades. He's focused on winning the big picture. He's winning championship. That's what he wants to do. And he knows that, he can easily drop 40 every night. This is a guy who is, he's a 4-time MVP, a 3-time NBA champion for a reason. Any team this guy goes to, he makes them better. He makes them instant title contender just because of how good he is. On both ends of the floor, he can do everything. So LeBron can drop 40 a night. But he knows that there's going to be implications to that. If he goes for personal accolades, it's going to, risk him not winning a championship. And that's something he wants to win a championship more than his personal accolades. For example, if he drops 40 a night, well, that means that he's not going to be passing the ball enough. That means there won't be any, ball movement in his team. There won't be much chemistry on the court. Along with that, LeBron will get fatigued. If LeBron gets fatigued, dropping 40 a night, that's going to seriously affect him when it really matters in the playoffs. So that means he's going to reduce his play in the playoffs. And, that's something that LeBron doesn't want to do. He's not a guy who cares about individual success. He cares more about winning championships. So, to answer the question, can he catch Shaq? It's completely possible. I mean, LeBron can do it, but that's only if he wants to. He can do it if he wants to. If he wants to pass Shaq, he can pass Shaq. If he doesn't want to, but the thing about LeBron is he doesn't care. He doesn't care. If it happens, it happens. Well, LeBron is, if it happened, it happened. It's a great feeling, but he doesn't care. That doesn't mean anything to him as long as he doesn't win a championship. It's like the Warriors 73-9 record. Sure, it's a good record to have for a team, but it means nothing if the Warriors didn't win a championship, which they didn't. Now, nobody really cares about it anymore because, they have nothing to show for it. They went for a stupid record, and it cost them a championship. LeBron realizes this, and that's why it's really just up to whether he wants to do it or not. But he cares more about championships, which is why I think that he's just going to focus on winning a championship. He doesn't care about these individual accolades. And finally, for the last story of this episode, I'm going to sort of make it quick. LeBron James and, George Hill are named the NBA Players of the Week. LeBron James of the Cleveland Cavaliers and George Hill of the Utah Jazz have been named the NBA Players of the Week in the Eastern Conference and Western Conference, respectively. James put up near triple-double over 3 undefeated games at 24.47 0.7 points per game, 11.3 assists, and 9.3 rebounds. DeMar DeRozan of the Toronto Raptors currently leads the league in scoring with 33.7 points per game, but had an average outing in Sunday's loss to the Sacramento Kings. Hill has been early season catalyst for the Jazz. He's been leading the team in scoring, assists, and steals during Gordon Hayward's absence. He had 23 points and 9 assists in Sunday's win over the New York Knicks, injuring his thumb in the process. Look, I don't mind George Hill being the player of the week here, but I think for player of the week for the Eastern Conference, I think DeMar DeRozan got snubbed. This is no doubt about it. This man had 5 straight 30-plus point games. 2 of them were 40-point games. That's incredible. For a guy who people say is not a traditional shooting guard to put up numbers like that. That's absolutely insane. He's leading the league in scoring. And I think that it was kind of unfair. I thought he was a lock to win it. I thought this guy was legit with the way he was playing, the way he was taking the league by storm, surprising every single NBA fan out there. I thought he was going to win this award. But the fact that he was snubbed really just, by only having one bad game. This guy only had one average game. And that too, he still dropped, I think 20 something points during that game. So the fact that he was snubbed that badly, it really doesn't make any sense to me. It really doesn't. It just shows how the NBA doesn't have respect for DeMar DeRozan. DeMar DeRozan is a quality player. He's a player who can score. He can play quality defense. He's also an underrated passer. This guy can pass the ball. No doubt about it. But his number one asset is his scoring, the ability to absorb contact and get to the free throw line. These are the things DeMar DeRozan is really good at. And the fact that, maybe he doesn't shoot a 3-point shot, but he's able to score and put up numbers. And the fact that people aren't respecting his game for that, the fact that he's being disrespected from Sports Illustrated giving him a 46 ranking, it just shows that how the NBA doesn't care, doesn't give a shit about DeMar DeRozan. And it's really sad to say. I'm a Raptor fan at heart. I'm a big fan of the Raptors. I followed DeRozan his entire career so far. And it's just disappointing at the fact that this guy puts up monstrous numbers and he was still he wasn't appreciated for that. He wasn't recognized for his greatness. But on the other hand, I guess you can add this to the fire that's fueling DeMar DeRozan's, insane play. There's nothing more I can say about it. DeMar DeRozan, if, 5 straight 30-plus point games isn't enough, I guess DeMar DeRozan has to, put up maybe 30, 40 to get the NBA's attention, because he was clearly snubbed here, and I think it was completely unfair for DeMar DeRozan to be snubbed like this. But anyways, guys, there you have it. That was the first episode of the NBA Talk podcast. I hope you guys enjoyed. It's something different. I think it's something that we need to continue building upon. I personally enjoyed the episode. I enjoyed it, man. I had fun. I hope you enjoyed it. Follow me on social media. Follow me at Twitter at NBA Talk 100. I think, that's my Twitter handle. At NBA Talk 100. Subscribe to this channel. We're going to be continuing. I told you every week. We'll be deciding on the day to be releasing the podcast every week. So just stay tuned for that. So every week we're going to be starting these podcasts. And so stay tuned for more episodes. And I'm Hani. I'll see you all in the next episode of the NBA Talk podcast. Thank you so much for watching.